Our next speaker is Stephen Tyndale. Stephen's has a long, proud record in the environmental movement going back 20-25 years. He's the co-founder of Climate Council. Stephen.
Thank you very much. The question on the statement on the leaflet for this was Rio to Rio 20 wasted years ? My answer to that is no. Partly for the reasons that John mentioned earlier. If you work on this full time, you've got to try and keep yourself cheerful somehow. Secondly, because there's far too much doom and gloom from the Green movement overall. And Ed Miliband, when he was Energy and Climate Change Secretary, which was a job he did quite well, maybe less good as leader of the opposition, we don't know yet, but he used to give speeches in which he quite often said, Martin Luther King did not inspire people by saying, I have a nightmare. From the Green movement. And the third reason my answer is no is because that's actually what I believe, which is quite helpful. There's not been nearly enough progress in the last 20 years, no doubt about that, and the figures that we were shown earlier underline that, but there has been some progress. Renewable energy is taken more seriously, it is going up. Energy efficiency is on the agenda, and the European Union actually on Thursday, partly as a result of one of Jean's colleagues at Green MEP, finally has some rules on energy efficiency. Again, they're not nearly strong enough, but they're better than nothing. And the G20 has agreed to phase out subsidies for fossil fuels. Okay, it hasn't done it yet, but at least it's agreed to do it. So we are making some progress. Of course, we've got to do a great deal more, but we shouldn't give up hope. However, there is far too much emphasis among discussions in the Green movement on international agreements, and one of the mantras that is very often heard is internationally legally binding commitments. Well, they would be great, but one, they won't happen, and two, even if they do happen, as they did in Kyoto, they're not enforceable. Kyoto was supposed to deliver in Japan, for example, a reduction. Japan, where Kyoto is, you think they might take that seriously, but they completely missed it. Canada, I don't want to be rude about Canadians, but Canada realised they were going to miss their target, so they just withdrew from Kyoto. US, we all know about, they never even signed up to it. Well, they did sign up, but they didn't ratify it. If Al Gore had been awarded the election that he, of course, won, but wasn't awarded, he would have had no chance of ratification because there's no way it would have got through US Congress. But even if they had, they would probably have missed the target, and what would the international community have been able to do about that? Nothing. So, internationally legally binding targets, let's just focus on things where we can actually deliver things. And so I think bottom up, to use the jargon, there's far too much jargon, but I guess this is okay. Bottom up approaches are better than top down approaches, which is why I co-wrote a book published last year, and I'm sorry to plug this, but it is relevant, which is called Repowering Communities, Small-Scale Solutions to Large-Scale Energy Problems, available from all the bookshops and Amazon. What my co-author, Prashant Bazay, and I looked at was the role that local government and community groups and mutuals, cooperative groups are playing on energy. And of course, Denmark is in the lead. Denmark's already been mentioned. Denmark decided in 1980, after the oil shocks, to take heat seriously and expand combined heat and power and district heating. So that was a very good move. But other parts of Scandinavia, other parts of continental Europe, Germany's pretty good on this. Austria, North Austria, which is up in the Alps, is probably the best region in Europe on this, because they have a lot of waste wood from the alpine forests. They don't cut down the trees, they just use the waste wood, which is better for the wood long term, I'm told. And they burn that in combined heat power systems, and they use the heat through district heating. So there is a lot going on. Now, in the UK, there's been very little going on. Chris Hume, when he was Energy Secretary, he gave a speech saying that local government in the UK would be allowed to be involved in energy in a way, in electricity in a way that it hasn't been since the late 1970s. This was an excellent speech, entirely in line with what we were arguing. Unfortunately, he gave it before we published our book, so we can take any credit, but he was doing the right thing, and his successor, Ed Davey, is trying to push that forward. So, to use the old Friends of the Earth slogan, if you're interested, and obviously you are because you're here today, for which I'm very grateful, if you're interested in campaigning on climate change, think global but act local, and just get your local council to do the sensible things on energy efficiency and on renewables, and get rid of the NIMBYs. There's far too many NIMBYs not in my backyarders. Most people support wind farms, for example, but those of us who support wind farms would rather go to the pub rather than campaigning on it, and it's the NIMBYs who do all the campaigning. So we need a lot more positive campaigning saying this is the way forward. Now, last couple of points. Is climate change the only issue? No. Is it the most important issue? Yes. Biodiversity is important as well, but the main threat to biodiversity is climate change. Zach Goldsmith is wrong about most things. He's right about Heathrow, but he's wrong about almost everything else. And for him to be arguing there's been too much emphasis on climate change is crazy. And last point, money is more important than targets. Money is more important than targets for the development part of sustainable development, and it's also more important than targets for the climate part of sustainable development. So I'm delighted not to be in Rio, not having been in the last one, or in Johannesburg 10 years ago. If I was to go to an international meeting, I would like to go to the G20 meeting, but sadly I haven't been invited yet.